land that possesses every conceivable natural resource: diamond, gold, crude oil, cocoa, you can name it. A continent endowed with a vibrant youth populace, so much.
In 2019, African Union Heads of States proclaimed the 7th of July as African Integration Day, the tradition of which has been to commemorate various milestones of African integration, accelerator and private sector interface for continental governance institutions, will this year, under the auspices of the African Union, as it has done prior years, climax Africa Integration Week with Boma of Africa. The Boma is a festival of ideas and actions changing Africa in radical ways. In partnership with an array of Africa's foremost organizations, the curators of Boma 2022 have set up a colorful tapestry of debates, insightful discussions, and grand announcements of groundbreaking initiatives exemplifying the most inspirational milestones in African unity and integration. And of course, Africa's premier network for inspired and empowered living, Dominion TV, will be broadcasting live moments from now the live discussion of this prestigious event, Boma 2022. My name is Mark Atichogbi, and I'm here with
Fiona Aching. And before we get into how colorful the Boma event might be, let's get on to a quick break and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, you're here witnessing Dominion Television's special in-studio discussion leading up to the Festival of Ideas, Boma 2022. And I have quite a good, colorful guest in the studio. The man in the middle is Jesse Akosa, Business Development Officer and Data Analyst. Achievements, so to say.
Achievements. Okay. Well, I guess the first one is being born in Africa. But yeah. And so about me, as you rightly said, I'm a Business Development Officer. I work within the mining support services. That is, we offer services to the mining companies in Ghana. When I'm not working, what I do enjoy doing is engaging with the youth in Model UN conferences. So I've done that with people within Africa, in Europe, in Northern America. And the reason why that is to have a good understanding of our different mindsets on the same subject. And the whole aim is, with respect to Africa, to get people to think on a global level and not just on a local level. So
that's great. That's great. That's great. On his right is Rita Nana Adwoa Arthur. She is a copywriter, she's a filmmaker, and also a creative consultant. Rita, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mark.
Tell us a little bit about you.
Like you said, I write. I like to refer to myself as a writer, storyteller, creator, because in the space I find myself in, I often wear different hats. So like you rightly said, filmmaking, I also do poetry, spoken word, that sort of thing. So yeah, I like to do as much as I can in the creative space.
Great, great. And of course, to the left of Jesse is Akua Asante Afful. She's an artisan. Tell us a little bit about you and your art, Akua.
Okay, so I'm partially into art and craft, and then I'm into shea butter as well. I work with epoxy resin wood. I create custom trays, jewelry boxes. I make vanity stands and what's not, customized for restaurants, hotels, etc. And then I'm into shea butter as well, black soap.
Great.
You know, we are promoting the made in Ghana.
Great.
Yeah, that's just about me.
You know, my mom used to sell shea butter. You know, in Ghana we called it. Well, we still call it. As soon as we call it inkuto. I don't know if what shea butter is called in your country, but my mom used to sell shea butter. Fortunately or unfortunately, my big brothers will go with her to the streets to hawk and then sell these things while I stay at home and enjoy the money they bring home. The benefits of being the last born. Fiona?
Well, speaking of the shea butter being called nkuto in your country, I think everybody watching this should probably tell us what you call shea butter in your country. And on that note, if you listen keenly, you realize that all our guests here are kind of doing something for themselves. They have some sort of independence with the business that they run. And that brings us to our first question that I was going to throw to the panelists, which is about independence within the African continent, for instance. And now that we're in Ghana, let's start with Ghana. Ghana was the first country in sub-Saharan Africa to gain independence, right? And so 65 years on, would you say the independence was good for the country, or would you have wished it was colonized a little bit longer? So did independence make us better, and to what extent? Politically, socially, culturally, and economically?
Okay, so that's what I believe. Independence in its right is a good thing. We had to be self-reliant. It's important. And there are so many benefits to attribute to that. We gained recognition on the international front. So Ghana, being one of the first in sub-Saharan Africa to gain independence, started a domino effect across Africa. And now we had other countries gaining independence based on that. So it was important for a country such as Ghana to gain independence. How we have grown over the years, that is, I believe, is separate from the idea of independence. That has to do with leadership. Right. Now, how our leaders have treated our economy, our country as a whole, from then to now, is it could be better.
Right.
The best way to put it.
So I want to know
like
the
he's trying to
better
be
part.
polite.
Yes, I know you're trying to be polite, but I want to know the better part. What do you mean when you say it could be better? What could have been better?
Okay, so the same old corruption. Right. We could have done without it, or at least not so much. We could have had stringent laws with respect to holding the government accountable. Okay. In handling our resources. We could have also done without the coup d'etats that we experienced as well. That was also a huge one. And there are other effects that happened. So let's say Ghana is poor. Whilst we are poor, we're having challenges with our economy, and then would have other external or macro events that will happen. Say there's a Great Depression or there's a recession. Now that will also affect Ghana. Now we need to go and take loans. Then we go to the IMF. When we go to the IMF, then they impose these stringent laws on us, and so there are a series of events that happened probably because of one mistake. And looking at it from a bird's eye kind of view, you see that it's not just one thing, like a series of events that could have happened to make us a much better nation.
So basically, the road has been very bumpy. That's what you're saying. 65 years later, it's still very bumpy. Nana and Kuya, I was engaging you on the same discussion before we got onto the show, and you said you actually wish most African countries, maybe Ghana, for instance, was colonized just a little bit longer. So why would you say that?
Okay, so I was just coming from one point of view, and that is the infrastructure development.
Right.
So I was comparing Ghana to South Africa because South Africa's independence got delayed. Mm-hmm. But looking at both countries, they are more developed when it comes to infrastructure and all the whatnots. That is the only reason why I was hoping that maybe it would have been colonized a little bit longer. Mm. But then now I'm seeing a more educated and sophisticated citizenry because of access to formal education. So it's a yes and no equation for me.
Right, I see. Rita, what are your thoughts?
I think taking it back to Jesse's response, I think I largely agree with him in the fact that independence in and of itself is a good thing, but then the leadership that follows becomes the issue. And speaking to Nana Akua's point, I grew up in South Africa, and I went to preschool in South Africa. And yes, by and large, the infrastructure is much better. But then again, over the years, they have had a lot of issues with leadership. So whether or not the independence came 30 years later or 30 years earlier, it all boils down to what the people do with their now owned independence. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so because South Africa is currently dealing with some issues of infrastructure. They do have pockets of civil unrest and all that. They've been dealing with massive load shedding to the extent that people are calling for the head of their electricity company, Eskom, to be, but then the fuel prices are so high.
Right.
Maybe I should just stay at home and be in the darkness, So leadership is so important when it comes to African countries, especially. And I think that for many African countries, the purpose for the fight for independence has been lost. People like Kwame Nkrumah, I believe that he fought for independence so that we can make our country better for ourselves and for the African continent at large. But we've come to a place where people just want to come into power, not necessarily progress the countries that they're leading. They just want to come into power for whatever agenda, and every now and then we'll do something so that the people don't start a coup or, burn us or kill us, whatever. But then the essence of what independence was meant for Africa, I think largely it has been watered down.
Right. Right.
It's interesting when I think through the different phases, especially of leadership that at least Ghana has been through after independence, helped us value democracy. For instance, Ghana has been through several tragedies and struggles at the power, and with many coups, marring our leadership and our history, taking us back. People believe it took us back 50 years, even. But in a way, it helped the people to actually assess for themselves what kind of leadership, what kind of setup as a nation should we have. I talk to people, and people are like, maybe it's better we go back to military rule. And I tell them, because you didn't live under military rule. Those who lived under military rule, when they talk about the hardships of Africa or Ghana and all that, the last thing they want to mention is getting back, seeing a coup happening and all that. And it's interesting you mentioned Kwame Nkrumah, because you know what? His heartfelt energy was that the African man can prove to the white that he's capable of managing his own affairs. He said it on Independence Day. He also said that the liberation of Ghana is meaningless unless it's tied to the corporate liberty of the whole African continent. That's 65 years ago, quite some time. I don't know how much we have done since then, but the ripple effect, like Jesse was saying, the number of countries that were inspired to seek independence, that in itself, it's a great achievement for the continent.
I think, Mark, you mentioned something I just want to tap into, that Nkrumah said that part of that gaining independence was for the African man to show that he could manage himself, right? And Rita also brought in a very interesting point that we have lost the true meaning of that independence. And so we have leaders running for leadership position and they're not really understanding why. Where do you think that gap came from? And do you still think that is still here today? Would you say that the population of Ghana, or like majority of Ghanaians, truly understand that purpose? Can they really prove that, or they're able to take care of their resources, or they're able to actually stand on their own? And if not, where did we lose that?
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so to be fair to our leaders, well, especially in Ghana, we must say they've been very impressive for the past 20 years.
Okay.
2022, so 22 years. This is what I mean. 22 years ago, we were HIPIC. It was really bad. Now we're able to transition out of a HIPIC country that's early 2000, get into about 2005. And even just to look at our capital alone, we have been able to go through these 25 years without a coup. We are relatively peaceful compared to other countries. We are, okay, so this station is in Spintex. You can walk around there around 10 p.m. and you wouldn't feel as though you'll be kidnapped, for example. So Accra is relatively safe. We have tall buildings. We have a stock market. To be fair, and we also are on the international market as well. We've gone through about 2 or 3 elections similarly peacefully. It hasn't led to mass shootings or people dead. So to be fair, our leaders have done an exceptional work, even though, of course, more could be done. Our education level compared to 20 years ago is exceptional right now. There are more women being educated. STEM in Ghana is on a higher level than before.
Yes.
Other countries still look up to Ghana. During elections, observers come in to just monitor our elections, and the observers perform, and then there are peaceful transitions. So, to be fair, it's not all hope is not lost.
Okay.
I feel, it's my opinion though, I feel like our political system is like a one man takes all policy.
Okay.
So whichever party comes into power feels that all ministers, all this should come from their party. And society frowns on a politician who comes into power. It's not really about the country. Everybody is trying to get what they can take before they leave power.
Right.
So I'm not going to.
So the gap. So how did we miss it? Did those who fought for the independence, did they not make the vision clear enough? Over the years, what happened? What made us miss it?
Just in Ghana or across board?
Across Africa,
But
generally.
I think just to answer your question of us being able to handle our own affairs, before we were colonized, we were handling our affairs. We were living our lives. We had our trade systems. We had our judgment systems. We knew what we were about. Yes, so colonization interrupted the flow of our full establishment, if I can put it that way. So we are capable, but I think we have a crisis of ideas and systems, because I don't believe that there have been many discussions on integrating the systems of policy and politics that we had before colonialism and then white man's democracy, because it hasn't seemed to work out too well for us. And are we willing to have another take at that conversation? Because we still have kingdoms in many African countries, and they're still recognized as leaders with influence and power who people respect. Ashanti Kingdom, Zulu Kingdom, Lesotho Kingdom. So we need to see how we can make a hybrid that works for us, rather than trying to adopt ideas that look good for other people, but who live with other parameters than what is our reality as Africans.
Yeah. Let me take us back, probably not too far back as pre-colonial times, but let's say a decade ago. And I would love to have your respective views in your respective industries. 10 years ago, how was Africa? How was your industry's space within the African context, if you can speak on that, from the writers, from the filmmaker, from the poets, from the business front, from the craft and artistry. I mean, 10 years ago, let me just share this little joke. So 10 years ago, for me, my dad was a seaman, as we call them, electrical marine engineer. So he would be away, and then a neighbor will come and tell us, your father has called, and he will call again in 10 minutes time. So everybody needs to be, because in the whole community, they were the only ones with the telephone. So then we will get this call, and immediately we start dressing up. A phone call. We start dressing up, so we dress up quickly, and then we all gather in this person's hall, and then true to their words, in 10 minutes or whatever the time would be, this phone will start ringing, and you speak to your dad. I didn't know how the phone looked like, because my mom will always be there, and then the queue, I was the fourth born, the queue will be there, and I'll just see them doing that and talking until it will be my turn. 10 years ago, that was how it was. Now my nieces know cell phones, YouTube and all that, but just to say 10 years ago, how was Africa with respect to your industry?
Yes, and to add on to Mark's question before you answer, do also let us know what your expectations are for your particular industry 10 years later from now. So we're looking at 10 years ago, and then 10 years from now, what do you expect your industry to look like?
For me, 10 years ago, I was in school. So I can't really say much. I can't really integrate that question with regards to my craft and everything. But what I can say, though, is that, let me come from the angle of social media. I feel that 10 years ago till now, we have embraced social media. And if I am to go into my craft, and I would say it has helped push what I do. It has exposed it to the global market. You are able to reach people from Germany, US, you're able to put your product out there for people to see. We don't necessarily need a brick and mortar space to be able to have to reach our target audience now. So with regards to that, I feel that we have improved, which also in a bad way. I feel we have access to a lot of unfiltered information. And for that reason, certain things that we would necessarily shy from, we do it openly. We talk about them openly, like homosexuality. There are things that you didn't want to necessarily put out there, but now people are proudly claiming it. So yeah, it's a bit nice. For maybe 10 years from now, I would be able to really talk about how my experience has been with regards to my craft. And you were asking about what I
what do you want to
expect?
Yeah, what you expect from the industry?
I'm hoping that we'd be able to do more exports of our product are made in Ghana. I'm talking about Ghana because so that we can be able to put us on the map. I'm hoping that as Ghanaians we'll be able to utilize our stuff and stop too much importation. So and then I can also talk about branding. For now, if I'm sending shea butter to somebody outside, I'm not necessarily sending raw shea butter and then they would process it and sell it back to me in their processed form. I send it branded with proudly made in Ghana.
Ready-made, ready for use.
And ready for use over there. So I feel that if we are going to improve on our exportation to be able to put the country out there, that would really help.
10 years ago, I was in school, the best high school in Ghana.
Which is
Precursor College.
Oh, Lord.
Okay. All right. So 10 years ago, we're still using WhatsApp. Yeah. So. Yeah. 10 years. Yeah, we had WhatsApp, but WhatsApp didn't have status by then.
So you used WhatsApp in SS?
Yes.
I didn't.
Wow.
I see why you're saying it's the best school in Ghana.
I didn't.
And we're not allowed. So when I came home, that's when I used it.
You were allowed to use it at home?
At home, yes.
Okay.
Yes, but not
I
in
thought
school.
you were putting yourself in the spotlight. So your parents are watching, so, you know.
No, not in school. Okay, so 10 years ago, the industry I'm in, it was still the same. So let's say the mining industry. Africa is so extractive. That means we are so caught in this raw material trap.
Right.
They still come for raw materials, and then they sell it back to us more expensive. So let's say our coffee 3-in-1, let's have coffee 3-in-1. It's more expensive than the coffee bean that we export out of Africa.
Right.
You understand? 10 years ago, cocoa prices were still determined by London. It still is. Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire tried to come together to sort of form a union because we produce most of the cocoa in the world, but that couldn't happen because...
I still can't tell why that just couldn't happen, which would have been our best chance to actually have some authority to determine our own pricing. When I think about that, we can't get into that too long,
but I could explain to you how
it's a little... Okay, go ahead.
But it's to boil it down, it's about money.
Right.
It's all about money. Now...
Wait, what about money?
What about money? Okay.
It's all about money.
So the reason why Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire came together is to make sure that the cocoa farmers could earn more, because basically they're not really getting much out of it. Quite sad. And now, if we are going to determine prices, the are centered over there. Now that gives them the buyer's power. So they look at us and go like, okay, so if you're going to increase your prices, we're going to buy from somewhere else. So if they do not buy our cocoa, the government cannot pay the farmers the amount of money that they promised them. So now Cote d'Ivoire is like, okay, you know what? We can't pay this amount of money. So we're going to pull out of the deal, and now Ghana is left hanging, and now they have to sell back to London at a cheaper price. And that's how it just falls.
So then how differently do you expect this to play out 10 years later, before we get on to Rita?
After this what AU is trying to achieve, it has to happen. Even though I have a lot of reasons why it may not happen in time soon, but if it does, it will be amazing. That is, Africa comes together, we've been one. Having free borders, free trade system, the African passport, so that I can stay in Ghana and work in Sierra Leone. One of the goals of Agenda 2063 is to have a train system connecting the major cities in Africa. So that would be like in Europe. So you can you can stay in the Netherlands, work in Germany, for example, and it's cheap. You can commute between these two countries, exchange of culture, exchange of ideas, and now we are having a strong monetary system. Right. So that's if we can achieve that, we have more money. We can then become a processing continent and not just an exporting continent. Like, we don't export just our raw materials, but then we can refine oil, for example.
10 years from now, well, let's see. We'll see how it goes. Rita.
Just to hold on to that thought as we go into the break, you finish for us, and then Rita will also get to share what she expects her industry to look like 10 years from now.
Welcome back from the break. If you just joined us, this is our in-studio panel discussion towards Boma 2022. And Rita, just before we went on the break, you were about to give from your industry, filmmaking, the performing arts, or whichever place. 10 years ago, how was the industry like in Africa, and 10 years to come? What would you like to see?
Well, 10 years ago, I had literally just put my foot in the door of advertising and marketing communications. And I went in as a junior copywriter, but just a year before that, or 2 years before that, I didn't know. Okay, so I knew what a copywriter did, but I didn't know the term copywriter. So it was after National Service that I saw an ad in the newspaper, and I was like, I can do this. This person is called a copywriter. Okay, let's give it a go. So I took myself to this agency. They hadn't called anybody up. I just took myself there, and then I was going off, like, I had studied science in school and all that, but I was like, I can write, and I've done this, and this, and this, and this, and they're like, oh, that's great and everything, but you don't have enough experience. I'm like, I literally just finished school, but I think 10 years ago, there was less acceptance for copywriting as a proper job. Because I remember even when I shared with some people close to me that, oh, I'm a copywriter now. They're like, what's that? Is that a proper job? First of all, there's a lot of history. I was supposed to be a doctor. You're supposed to be a doctor. Now you're doing copywriting. What is this? Are you serious about your future and all that? But then I think there has been a lot of growth. I think people have come to accept the power and impact of branding. Like Nene Akua said, in the advertising and marketing space, branding is a very big part of what is done, and 10 years on, it's been widely accepted, and the craft in itself has been much more accepted. Right. And I think COVID-19 proved to the world that you cannot survive and be sane without the arts, because everybody was turning to a movie or a film or music or whatever, so there has been a lot of growth and acceptance. Yeah.
So what do you expect to see 10 years later, very briefly?
In as much as I spoke about the positives, I remember when I was doing my Ghana card, they asked for my profession. I'm like, I'm a copywriter, and like, we don't have anything like that. And I was like, is there anything within the space of marketing or advertising? They're like, we can make you a typist. I'm like, wow. A typist is someone who is employed mainly for their typing skills. So it could be in any field, as long as you're good at typing. They're like, well, it's typist or nothing. Do you want your Ghana card? And then I was like, let me not make a fuss about this. Let me just get my Ghana card. So I hope that 10 years from now, people will understand that there is a lot of craft and intentionality that goes into the creative space. It's not just people wake up and, oh, I want to do this, or I'm good at this, or you didn't do well in school, so go and do this. No. People spend a lot of time, people learn, people develop, so I hope to see that. Yeah. Right.
So let me just chip in on the filmmaking part. I happen to be a filmmaker, so 10 years ago, at least, we had movies that told our culture, that told our history. Unfortunately, we don't see that much, at least locally here in Ghana. And personally, for 10 years to come, I hope we can have filmmakers that tell the culture of this continent, that tell the history of this continent out to the world.
Right, and that brings us to the next question that we have for all of you. So how conducive do you think Africa is for growth? Keeping in mind all the developments that you all want to see 10 years from now within your respective industries. And you, when you're answering this, think about whether you think we're actually getting there or we still have a lot more work to do. So very briefly, a question to the guests. Is Africa conducive enough for growth, the growth that we're hoping for in our various industries?
I would say yes.
Right.
Yes, to a very large extent, because there's so much cross collaboration, not just across African countries, but across continents as well. You know, I can sit here in Accra, Ghana, and be working on a film project or documentary with someone in Germany.
Right.
You know, because we know what everybody's role is. We set out the parameters. Okay, we want footage of this. We want to cover stories like this.
Okay.
And then we share what we have, and then the work is done. So in that sense, yes. But then there is still a lot of improvements that can be made.
So we can categorize that under the digital aspect of it. You know, we're kind of getting there. But what about politically? And then Akua will tell us about, like, economically, are we getting there? And is Africa conducive for it? Jesse.
Okay, so politically, I'd say yes, we have the youth. So it's possible. Just two factors. One, integrity. If there's a way we could instill that virtue in the young ones, because the older generation who we say they are corrupt, the corruption didn't start when they were older, it was when they were much younger. And then secondly, involvement in what's going on in Africa. So almost everybody know, at least I've heard about SDGs. So you know what the UN is trying to do, but not as much as Agenda 2063, which is African Union's version of SDGs.
Right.
There aren't any. So based on the model UN activities I've been engaged in, we have a lot of Africans who are very much interested in diplomacy, interested in international relations, but then it's all focused on the UN.
Right.
So what about Africa?
Right.
And so there's a potential for us if only they can give more attention to us.
Right. And Akua, what do you think? Is
So
it
I'm
conducive
just going
for
to
you?
steal his word and
Yeah.
agree that Africa does have potential. Ghana does have potential to a large extent. I feel that if we can invest in our own resources, if we can make use of our own product, and then he mentioned at a point that if we can become a processing country, process our own resources and then export those refined from Ghana outside, I think it would put us on the map. And then, and then what else? I mean, basically, that's it.
Right.
I had something else to say, but it escaped me. But yeah.
We'd love to hear from you, the viewers, whether you think Africa is really conducive for growth. And we're going to go on a quick break. And when we come back, we have a very interesting question for our guests right before we close. Don't go away. Dominion Television went on the street to sample some of the expectations of Boma of Africa 2022. Let's have a look at some of the responses.
My name is Mike. I think Boma of Africa is great. The initiative is very laudable. But the only concern that I have is the fact that most of the African countries, especially those of us in Ghana here, there's a lot of unemployment issues in this country. Most of the youth don't have work to do. So I would love them to touch more and give us appropriate response as to how they'll be able to tackle unemployment in our country.
My name is Nana, and I believe Boma of Africa is a very good initiative. But then to really get something out of it, I believe they should really be touching on issues like corruption, especially in government agencies and offices. They should make sure they bring all leaders who mismanage and misuse funds to book to face it. And I believe that will be a great stepping stone for the development of Africa at large. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Akpene about the health insurance scheme. Yes, a lot of people go to the hospital and the scheme covers just a few things. So in as much as they have the card, they still end up paying huge sums of money. Some people can't afford it, and they end up being in the hospital. Those that have been detained, if they don't pay, they are not discharged, and it's all a problem. They should let the scheme cover more medicines or more drugs that can help people to heal fast and not pay a lot. The health insurance scheme not covering most of the things. That's one problem I'd like you guys to touch on. Yeah, because it's really something serious. Thank you.
My name is Charles Achampom. I think Africa as a continent have to look at the things that all the resources, by so strange.
My name is Yakum.